Hi there, it's Elaine Grundy from the Reiki Center, and in this video I'd like to explore the concept of really finding your freedom in your Reiki practice. And it really came about because my recent Reiki 2 class, I was fortunate enough to have quite a large percentage of the students actually from different Reiki teachers. And I always find that very interesting because clearly my students that go on from Reiki 1 to Reiki 2, there's a certain continuity, and I've already told them my philosophy and my background in terms of how Reiki works. So getting students from different teachers is always very enlightening for me to see how different teachers are expressing Reiki and how they are asking their students to practice. And one of the things that I wanted to cover was clearly every Reiki teacher has their own experience of Reiki and their own experience of how they're going to pass that on, their own philosophy, and also how they were taught. Because for many of us, we take on whatever it is that our Reiki teacher taught us, and we may modify it or we may stick very, very closely to the teaching that we received. And there's no right or wrong in this. It's just each teacher has their own preference and each teacher has their own personal experience with Reiki as well. So the topic really is to talk about your own journey with Reiki is a mixture of your teacher's teaching and how you come to apply that in your own life and your own experience on top of that. So, for example, one of the things that has come up, and actually has come up throughout my Reiki teaching, I remember when I just finished my Reiki Masters, and I was very excited, and I went off to this festival, and I was offering free Reiki. And I was Reikiing people, and this woman from across the room spotted me and came running up to me extremely urgently and told me in no uncertain terms that I was doing it wrong. And I was horrified because I was new. So I thought, oh my God, I'm doing it wrong. This is awful. And so I said, well, what am I doing wrong? And she said that the hand positions, because I just had my hands, floppy hands, on my client, on the person who was sitting there, on her shoulders, and I wasn't clenching my little fingers like this so that there was no gaps. It was just like this. And she was mortified with me. She was like, you're doing it wrong. All your fingers need to be together and tight. And I thought about this for a moment, and I thought, well, one, my Reiki teacher never taught me that. And two, I'm open because maybe he forgot, which I highly doubt, because to not mention something as critical as that in her eyes would have seemed unusual. So I sat there and I put my fingers together and I thought, yes, I can feel the Reiki flow. And I released my fingers and just let them relax, and I can feel the Reiki flow. So in my experience, and I'm not saying in your experience it may be different, it may make a massive difference whether the fingers are open or shut, but in my personal experience, it made absolutely no difference whatsoever. So I thanked the lady for her information and I carried on. Now, for many of us, we're going to hit things like this. Either our teacher was very adamant that you do it a certain way, and yet you've noticed if you do it another way, you get the same result or better. And for other people, the tension around trying to remember everything your Reiki teacher taught you to do, if there was a lot of rules and regulations, and even things like hand positions. Sometimes there was a question in this particular workshop that I'm referring to, which was, well, if I've got 12 hand positions and I have to do them in sequence, so what happens if I don't do them in sequence? And again, this is just not what I was taught. I was taught that Reiki is universal life force, and universal life force just flows where it needs to flow. And the hand positions is akin to watering your garden. You know, if you stick the hose in one corner of the garden, eventually the water is going to flow all through the garden. But if you actually put the water hose in each individual pot or each area of the garden, or you use a sprinkler system, then it's a lot quicker and it's a lot more effective. And that to me is the positions. So the hand positions are not like, that would be like OCD watering my garden. This plant first, then this plant second, and this plant third, and I can't break the sequence. I mean, if that's how you watered your garden, then some people would definitely be raising their eyebrows. Yet that's the way some people, it would appear, are approaching their Reiki practice. So it's very stressful to do it like that. So for me, these areas are open for contemplation and reflection, your own personal reflection. Does it make a difference? If I do Reiki for 5 minutes each position versus 3 minutes each position, does it make a difference? If I do Reiki for half an hour or an hour, does it make a difference? So hopefully, in your Reiki practice, you're constantly asking yourself these questions rather than sending your teacher an email and saying, does it make a difference, 30 minutes or 1 hour? Because it's not really for your teacher to answer that. I mean, they know I know my answer. My answer is 1 hour is more than doubly effective than half an hour. That's why I do 1 hour, and I still do 1 hour. So for me, but I've come to this conclusion myself, so I don't need anybody else to tell me what's the difference, because I know. And in your Reiki practice, this is very, very important for you to experiment and for you to really check it out. If there's something that your teacher has told you, if there's something I've told you, if there's something anybody has told you that doesn't sit right in your system, then please give yourself permission to experiment. And if it really feels like it's not necessary, then drop it. Drop it. I mean, at the end of the day, the tools and techniques around Reiki are just tools and techniques. And once you come into the true experience of Reiki as an energy for greater self-awareness, and that sentence in itself tells you everything, right? Self-awareness. And in that self-awareness, it has nothing to do with hand positions or hand position priorities or sequence, or whether your hands are open or closed, or whether you're standing on your head. I mean, these are just irrelevant, very irrelevant parts of the Reiki teaching, in my humble opinion. Some people might get quite upset with that, but that's truly my experience, and I'm very open to your own experience being a little bit more rigid than that, and that's fine if that's what's working for you. If you've tried 1 to 12 positions and it works perfectly, brilliantly, and effectively, and every time you try 12 to 1 as a position, it feels worse, then I absolutely bow to your inner wisdom on that. But if you've never tried it, then how do you know? You don't know. So this is my hope, that you will breathe into your Reiki practice and follow your heart and follow what feels right for you and enjoy. Thank you.